Happy Valentine's Day, guys. Now, I'll be honest, it's not something that I celebrate. I don't think my husband and I have ever celebrated Valentine's Day. But for some reason, it's very popular around the world. And it got me thinking about these fantasy movies that we watch. Things like love potions. What are the use cases for these? And more importantly, what are the side effects? Let's get into it. So love potions are used for many different reasons within movies and books. Sometimes manipulation, sometimes creating conflict, and sometimes just to drive character development. Sometimes these can be quite funny, the results can be amusing. Other times they can be quite disastrous. So let's look at some of the reasons that these are used. So for instance, there could be unintentional consequences. Maybe the potion has been given to the wrong person. And obviously that would be both disastrous and funny. For a lot of stories, the potion's effects aren't necessarily understood or followed properly, leading to outcomes that just aren't expected. Another reason could be to test love or loyalty. So a character might take a potion to ensure that the feelings are real. Maybe they're used as a test of love or devotion. But the character often then realises that you can't really force love. You can't manipulate someone to love you. Genuine affection doesn't work that way. You also have romantic manipulation, where someone's going to try and use you in a nefarious way, maybe use your love for them, manufactured love, in a way that they would never usually be. And obviously we have the magical symbolisation. So you have this argument of fate versus free will when it comes to love potions. It raises that question of, can you control love, or must it develop naturally? Allowing the characters to really reflect on the true nature of these feelings. So the origins and ingredients, let's look at those as well. So folklore and mythology, that's kind of where this all stems from. So love potions in a lot of stories are crafted from rare herbs, flowers, or mystical ingredients. So some of the more commonly mentioned ingredients include mandrake root, roses, and even the blood of some mythical creatures. In some mythologies, gods and spirits have also been involved in creating these. They're usually created by alchemists, witches, and wizards when we're looking at the fantasy side of it as well. So the effects are instant love and obsession. Now these are temporary or long-lasting, depending on the story, depending on where it is that this character needs the story to go, will depend on how long the effects last for. Now I've mentioned about free will when it comes to love potions, but let's think about the consent side of it, because typically if someone's given you a love potion, you're not going to know about it, you're not going to realise that someone wants your affection that bad. You're not going to agree to this, are you? But then we have the unintended consequences, where it often backfires. Maybe the person that you've given it to becomes obsessive, jealous, or even violent. Pretty sure that's not what the intended consequence was. So we have to consider romanticising things and the critique around this. So some stories obviously romanticise the idea of a love potion, while some criticise it. For example, a love potion may be used to explore themes of desperation, coercion, and the dangers of wanting love that isn't freely given. So that's kind of like the background of it all, but let's look at some famous examples. So, A Midnight Summer's Dream. So this is one of the most famous literary uses where a love potion appears. So Oberon uses a magical flower to manipulate the romantic feelings of the characters, which creates confusion, mistaken identities, and comedic situations. Moving on to one that is much more familiar, J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter. So in Half-Blood Prince, Romuald Devane tries to give Harry a love potion disguised in some chocolates. Now we know that Ron, being the greedy git he is, went and ate those, thought he was in love with Romuald Devane, and all hell broke loose from there. He was not the intended target. And the effects, of course, they are humorous before they turn deadly in a different sort of way. but it explores that thought of the ethical implications. Now, okay, Ron shouldn't necessarily eat something that wasn't for him, but he didn't have the consent to be drugged. So again, we're balancing on that ethical free will story. Let's look at The Princess Bride. I absolutely love this movie. And this is about a marriage potion. So this is a key part of the story where Prince Humperdinck is trying to manipulate Princess Buttercup for his own gain. Obviously, he wants to become king, he wants to be of note, but the love between Buttercup and Wesley is is central to the story. It's the main part of the story. But he is trying to force her into this marriage by by drugging her. Again, free will, consent, all that stuff, all themes within here. This one I find less funny and more disturbing, I'll be honest, when I watch it. And the last one I'm just going to touch on, very out the box, is Shrek 2. So this is where the fairy godmother wants Princess Fiona to drink some tea so she'll fall in love with Prince Charming. Obviously it doesn't quite work out that way. She doesn't drink the tea. No one drinks the tea. And that's all okay. The fact that her father knew and discarded the tea, again, she had no free will. She had no understanding or knowledge of this happening. But the consequences weren't there because he stopped it from happening. So not quite as severe as The Princess Bride or the Shakespeare play, but it has that underlying tone of trying to take control. And that's all, guys, I wanted to really talk about today. I just think it's really interesting seeing love potions displayed so differently in different films and books targeted at different age groups. And for instance, The Princess Bride was in 1987, you've then got Harry Potter in 2009, and the differences on how they're used and the audience interpretation is very different. For instance, like I said, Princess Bride, a bit more disturbing, Harry Potter, just a bit funnier at that point. I hope you guys enjoy your day, whatever it is you're planning to do today, even if you're having a day for yourself. And until next time, you take care.